Hello, Sunim. It's my honor to have this opportunity again to ask a question today. Last time I asked about a question regarding Mother Teresa, and I realized that how dumb the question it was, and could be more open to different perspectives now. And I have been through my personal issues, realizing that it's true that nothing's permanent, and it's really necessary to have correct mind frame to comprehend the things around myself. So today's question is a bit conceptual, and I think it's somewhat related to your teaching just before, and I hope I won't be scolded by Sunim with another stupid question today. But I have been watching my thoughts as part of the efforts to understand myself more and find a way to more happiness. And recently I have read about an idea that anything arises in my life is simply the reflection of my mind, projected to everything and every person I encounter in my life. I could understand this concept in theory, but I am struggling to accept by heart, and I can't really comprehend the idea that the injustice or selfishness that I see from the people couldn't be just a simple reflection of myself. So I thought to myself that it's not fair to say that I'm responsible for everything that's happening around myself. I want to hear about the Sunim's advice on this perspective, if I understood it correctly first. And if this is true, then how do I have to embrace this idea to make my life better?
누가 그런 얘기를 했습니까?
Who said that?
I read a book called The Power of Now. It's written by Eckhart Tolle, and he mentioned about the concepts. So anything negative you're feeling, if you don't understand it from your heart, it's actually manufactured by your mind. So you have to deeply think through, because without proper understanding, you can't really understand anything in your life.
그 사람의 얘기입니다.
That's just his take on this.
이렇게 보는 사람도 있구나. 이렇게 받아들이시면 됩니다.
Just accept that there are opinions like this in this world.
나도 그러면 그렇게 하면 점검해 볼까?
Then you say, well, let me check this out for myself.
정말 그런 성향이 좀 있네.
Then maybe there is something there to me.
어떤 것을 그게 100% 맞다, 틀렸다 이렇게 접근하지 말고
Do not approach something as having to be 100% right or wrong.
90% 맞아도 100% 맞아야 된다 이러면 10% 때문에 이 사람 말 틀렸다 이렇게 우리가 결정날 수가 있습니다.
Because if only 90% of it is right, but 10% is wrong, and if the objective for being right is 100%, then that person is wrong because of that 10%.
이 문학에서 100% 맞는다는 건 없습니다.
Yeah, there's no 100% correctness in anything.
내가 점검을 해보니까 그런 경향이 비교적 많은 편이다. 이렇게 볼 수도 있는 측면이 참 많구나. 이렇게 점검을 하면 됩니다.
So your criteria, your metrics for something being right is that, you know what, that sounds about right, or that reflects the experience that I had.
그분이 그렇게 말한 데는 일정한 또 이유가 있습니다.
And there's, I'm sure, a particular reason why he said what he said.
예를 들면 우리가 어떤 사람 보고 저 고집이 세 이럴 때가 있잖아요.
Sometimes we point at another person and say he is stubborn.
그러면 고집이 세다는 것은 자기 의견을 주장한다는 거죠.
So being stubborn can also mean that he's very strong in his opinions.
근데 내가 내 의견을 주장하지 않으면 저 사람은 저렇게 생각하네 이렇게 그냥 가볍게 지나가는 거예요.
But if you don't insist on that paradigm by which you value that person, you could also say, oh, I guess that person thinks that way.
근데 나도 어떤 주장이 있기 때문에 아, 쟤 고집이 세다. 이렇게 내 속에서 인지가 되는 거예요.
So you think that person is stubborn because you also have an opinion that you want to put forth that might be in contrast to his opinion. That's why you believe that person is stubborn.
그럴 때 아, 상대가 고집이 세다고 인지될 때는 나도 뭔가 고집하는 것이 있기 때문에 그렇게 인지된다. 이렇게 이해하시면 됩니다.
So when you feel that the other person is stubborn, then you have to realize that you yourself are being stubborn in order to recognize the other person is being stubborn.
누가 돈이 많다고 좀 거들거듭댑니다.
Say somebody acts arrogantly because he's rich.
예, 기분이 좀 나빠요.
So you don't feel good about that.
저 자식 돈 좀 있다고 너무 거듭먹거린다. 이렇게 내가 생각을 했다고 합시다.
Say I thought looking at him goes, you know what, he's just being ostentatious and not really tasteful about his riches.
그것은 내가 돈에 의미를 두고 있을 때 그렇습니다.
But I only think that way because I put some weight or value on the money that he has.
나에게도 돈에 대한 집착이 있다는 거예요.
Because so the fact that I feel that way about him means that I'm also attached to money.
나에게 대해서 돈에 대한 아무런 집착이 없으면 돈 있다고 거들먹거리는 것이 기분 나쁜 게 아니고 좀 무거운 짐을 지고 있구나 이렇게 볼 수도 있잖아요.
Because if I didn't have any attachment to money, then I will not feel bad looking at the other person being wasteful or ostentatious about his riches. I would actually pity him and say, you know what, he carries a great burden.
그러니까 이 표현은 내 마음에서 일어나는 것은 다 바깥에서 일어난다. 이렇게 표현하면 조금 정확하지는 않습니다.
So the expression or the fact that what's happening outside the reality that you see outside is all created by my projection is not 100% accurate.
바깥에 일어난 것을 가지고 내가 약간 시비하는 마음이 있을 때는 내 속에도 그런 게 있다. 오히려 이렇게 표현하는 게 더 정확할 것 같아요.
I think a more precise expression might be if there's something happening outside, then you feel some kind of feeling towards that. And then there is something within you that triggers that feeling or that reaction against what you see.
표현이 조금 달랐다 하지만은 그 사람은 어떤 그런 문제를 가지고 자기 나름대로 발견을 해서 밖에 거는 나하고 별개라고 생각했는데 내 마음하고 이게 관계가 있구나 해서 아마 그분은 발견해서 그런 글을 썼지 않았나 싶습니다.
So although our expressions might be a little different, but I think he himself, the author, probably experienced something on his own that made him realize that the objective reality is not truly objective, but it is an expression of the subjective element within his psyche.
이런 것을 발견하게 되면 어떤 내 속에 좋은 점이 있느냐, 미움이라든지 이런 게 없어집니다. 나도 그렇기 때문에.
So what's good about discovering this truth is that once you see it, then you know enough that you hold these emotions or just nuggets that reacts of itself to an outside phenomena, and you can get rid of them.
추가적인 질문이 있습니까? 이해가 되셨어요? 알았습니다, 스님. 이렇게 안 되나 봐요.
Have any follow-up questions? No, I understand. I fully and well understand.
Thank you, Sunim. I felt a little relieved that I shouldn't be responsible for all of this now. Again, I realized that everything is relative and there's no universal truth about anything. And the perspectives are also very important. Then I got another question. So then when I encounter with someone's aggression or selfishness, then what would be the best way to deal with it?
모든 사람이 다 이기심이 있잖아요.
So everybody's selfish.
이기심이 있구나 이렇게 보면 되죠.
So just acknowledge that everybody's selfish.
그 이기심이 나쁘다 이래 보지 말고 이기심이 있구나 이렇게.
So don't put a value judgment on selfishness that you observe in everybody and say selfishness is bad. No, just observe selfishness as it is.
그러니까 이기심이 좋다든지 이기심이 나쁘다든지 이렇게 보지 말라는 거예요. 그냥 이기심이 있다면 이기심이 있구나 이렇게 보라는 거예요.
So don't judge selfishness. Don't put a value judgment as if it's bad or good. Just observe it as it is, that it exists.
우리가 만약에 뱀에게 지팡이를 가져가서 이렇게 딱 입 가까이에 건드리면 뱀이 이렇게 탁 물 거 아니에요. 그 뱀은 자기에게 위협을 하면 자기도 방어하려고 물구나 이렇게 봐야 된다는 거예요.
So what if we take some wooden rods and go to a snake and kind of tap on his snout? The snake is going to bite it. And then you make the observation that snake, when threatened, will bite whatever's threatening it.
그러니까 뱀이 나쁘다 좋다 이렇게 보면 안 돼요. 뱀은 나쁜 놈이라서 그렇게 무는 게 아니에요.
So you don't make a judgment saying that snake is bad because it's bit the rod. Because snake is not bad. It didn't bite the rod just because it's bad.
예를 들어서 뱀이 새 새끼를 잡는다고 할 때 그걸 뱀을 나쁘다 이렇게 보면 안 되는 거예요.
So for example, the snake and hunts hatchlings, bird hatchlings. You can't say that that snake is bad.
그렇다고 뱀이 그건 당연하다 이렇게 봐도 안 된다는 거예요.
Or that, this is an obvious thing for a snake to do.
그냥 그런 현상을 먼저 본다.
Just observe the phenomena as is.
내가 어떤 결정을 할 거냐는 이제 다음 문제예요.
And the question of how I should react to that is the next phase of the problem.
새 새끼를 살리기 위해서 뱀을 쫓을 수도 있고 그냥 둘 수도 있는 거예요.
So if you see a snake threatening to hunt and eat hatchlings, then you can choose to drive the snake away and save the hatchlings or leave it be.
뱀이 나쁜 존재라서 새를 잡아먹는 것은 아니라는 거예요.
And you're not doing this because snake is a bad animal that's trying to hurt innocent hatchlings.
그러나 내가 새를 살리려면 뱀을 쫓을 수도 있는 거예요.
So but if you choose to save the hatchlings, then you can chase the snake away.
나는 그런 선택을 할 수가 있다.
Then you're free to make that choice.
나중에 뱀이 기분이 나빠가 나한테 해를 끼쳐더라도 새를 살리기 위해서는 그 과보를 받아야 된다는 거예요.
And if the snake, because it feels threatened or because it's thwarted by your actions from eating, the snake may attack you, but that's a karma that you have to be willing to accept.
그러니까 그 사람이 이기적이구나. 그런데 그걸 어떻게 할 거냐 하는 거는 다음 내 선택이요. 나쁘다 이렇게 보고 대응하지 말고.
So if somebody is selfish, observe him as being selfish without making a value judgment that selfishness is bad. But how you deal with his selfishness is your choice.
나는 어떤 내 판단도 있고 내 생각도 있고 내 감정도 있잖아요. 그것에 충실하는 건 좋은데 그거하고 다르다고 상대가 나쁜 사람은 아니라는 거예요.
So understand that you have your own emotions, value system, your own feelings about this. And it's good for you to be faithful to your own feelings. Having said that, that doesn't give you the right to judge the other as bad or good.
그 사람이 경제적으로는 조금 약간 좀 이기적인데 아주 정의감이 투철하다, 민주투사다. 그러면 경제적인 거는 조금 내가 좀 기분이 안 좋더라도 더 큰 목적을 위해서 그 사람을 수용할 수도 있잖아요.
So, for example, if that person is selfish when it comes to economic interests, but on the other hand, it's all, say, social justice warrior fighting for the cause of democracy, then, it's up to you to kind of turn a blind eye to one aspect of him because you value the other.
우리가 만약에 독립운동을 나라의 독립을 위해서 어떤 전투가 벌어졌다고 합시다.
For example, imagine if you're fighting a battle for the independence of your country.
평상시에는 이렇게 깡패라든지 포수라든지 이런 사람보다 선비가 더 훌륭한 사람이라고 사람들이 말합니다.
So in peaceful times, the scholar is considered more learned and more valuable or more noble than the regular workers or farmers.
그러나 전투가 벌어졌으면 선비보다 그 포수나 깡패가 훨씬 더 좋은 일을 할 수도 있습니다.
However, if there's a battle for the independence of your country, rather than a scholar who's weak and that cannot fight, a strong person, whether you're a farmer, worker, or a member of a gang, for example, or a soldier, is much more valuable.
그러니까 놓여진 상황에 따라 평가가 다른 거예요.
So depending on the situation or context, the value judgment differs.
그러니까 절대적인 것은 없다.
And so there's nothing absolute.
어떤 역할이냐, 그 구체적인 역할에 가면 또 좋고 나쁘고 하는 게 또 발생하는 거예요.
But it depends on the role you play, the functions that you perform. And once you go down into those functions, then you also encounter good and bad.
그러니까 옷을 벗어야 된다, 입어야 된다 이렇게 정할 수는 없다.
So there's nothing that's that allows you to say that you always have to either wear your clothes or take off your clothes.
그러나 혼자 있을 때는 상관없는데 대중 앞에 갈 때는 입는 게 좋다 이렇게 말할 수 있다는 거.
But you can put that in context. Say that it doesn't matter if you take off your clothes by yourself, but if you present to others, have to speak in front of the others, it's only respectful for you to wear your clothes.
이것을 나중에 이제 여러분들이 경전반에 가서 공부하면 이제 색즉시공, 공즉시색 이렇게 표현을 합니다.
So once you actually study this concept in the Sutra school, I think that's the school that comes after your Dharma school, then this concept will be expressed as I think nothing is form or form is nothing.
또 무유정법, 정함이 있음이 없는 법이다 이렇게 표현하기도 하고요.
Or the law of a formless law. Basically, there's nothing to actually have an absolute law on.
그러니까 시공을 초월한 절대적인 가치는 없지만 시간과 공간 안에서는 상대적인 가치가 주어진다는 거예요.
So basically, there's no absolute truth that goes beyond space-time, but there is a relative truth once you are constrained by a specific space-time.
시간과 공간이 바뀌기 때문에 그것을 절대화해서는 안 된다.
But since space-time changes over time, you cannot deify as absolute some truth that was defined by a specific space-time and apply it across beyond space-time.
Hello, Sunim. Thank you again. I asked the question about negativities around the people and how to deal with it in my life. Again, I realized that essentially there's no problem with those people, but it's actually about myself making judgments. So maybe I have to practice to see things more just as they are, and rather than being dictated by my own ideas. Thank you again for your wisdom, Sunny. I'll take this away and try to apply this to my life to live a more free life. Thank you.
예, 누구나 다 판단을 하게 되고 이렇게 좋고 싫고가 일어납니다. 그러나 그것에 집착하지 마라. 그것에 의미를 너무 부여하지 마라. 이렇게 접근해야 됩니다. 그것이 안 일어날 수는 없습니다. 일어나지만은 그 상대적인 게이기 때문에 거기에 너무 의미 부여하지 말고 집착하지 마라. 그냥 이런 마음이 이러더네, 이런 판단이 드네, 이렇게 그냥 가볍게 보라는 거예요.
So we all make value judgment. We all have likes and dislikes. It's impossible to stop us from reacting with likes and dislikes. What I'm saying is that we should not imbue those likes and dislikes with too much meaning and allow that meaning to take over our, how we see the rest of the world. Because there's nothing absolute about our likes and dislikes. So just keep that in mind.